And don't forget to subscribe. I promise, our subscribe button doesn't bite. In fact, it gives you +10 legendary power.
100 angels descended from the sky like rains of light, followed one after another by the rulers of destruction. The sky above the planet ignited, and the earth beneath them trembled as if it feared what was about to happen. But in that place, there was only Goku, standing amidst the ruins, his body blazing with white fire and pure energy. His hair glowed, and his eyes were empty of mercy. Everyone who saw him felt one thing: fear. Even Beerus, who thought he knew the limits of Goku's power, swallowed hard in silence, whispering, "This isn't Goku. This is something else." Then Goku spoke in a low voice that pierced through all of space. "Come closer. I want to see which one of you deserves to live." In the blink of an eye, 3 rulers of destruction rushed toward him at once, but before they could touch him, his body vanished from their sight. No one heard the strike. They only saw their bodies fall to the ground like broken dolls without souls. The rest trembled, unable to understand how or when he moved. Goku stood among them, unconsciously wearing a cold smile as he said, "Your attacks are shallow. I can't even feel them." Then suddenly, his voice thundered across the void. "Who's next?" Sidra stepped forward confidently, though sweat covered his forehead, shouting, "Stand aside, I'll handle him myself." All eyes turned toward him, for he was the ruler whose body was said to be harder than steel, unbreakable. He spoke arrogantly, raising his power to its absolute limit. "Who does this Saiyan think he is? My skin can't be pierced. His existence is nothing but dust before me." But Goku didn't answer. A single look from him made Sidra's heart tremble. Then Goku slowly opened his mouth, and from it burst a volcanic flame. Pure fire as if born from the heart of the sun. It condensed into a tiny orb of energy between Goku's fingers. He stepped towards Sidra, who froze completely, unable to move. The blast struck Sidra directly. He screamed in agony as his body burned in an instant, vaporized completely, leaving behind only a scorched shadow on the ground. Madness filled the air. The ruler Liquor screamed as he rushed from behind at incredible speed, striking with all his might to surprise Goku. But time itself seemed to stop for a moment. Goku turned in an instant, appearing behind Liquor like lightning. He grabbed him by the head with one hand. Liquor's eyes glistening with tears. Goku said, "Your energy is mine now." Liquor's body began to shrivel like paper consumed by fire, his face distorted, followed by a short scream and a shattering silence unlike anything before. Everyone in the sky, the assistants, the rulers, even Vados, froze in place. The aura surrounding Goku began to crack the very fabric of space, and nearby universes trembled. One of the assistants spoke in a trembling voice. He's surpassing the concept of power itself. He's completely lost his mind." Goku turned toward them, his eyes without pupils, his voice coming out like an icy whisper. And with every step he took, the earth shook beneath him. The planet was close to Earth. The tremors reached its depths, and people everywhere felt a force that terrified their souls. A power beyond description, as if the sky itself was trembling. Vegeta was preparing to leave, his expression frozen, hiding a storm of anxiety. He slowly approached Bulma and Trunks, looked at them for a long moment, and said a single word, "I'll return. Take care of your mother while I'm gone, boy." Then he turned to leave, but a soft hand caught his wrist from behind. It was Chi-Chi, tears streaming down her face as if she couldn't let him go. Her voice was broken, hoarse from crying. "Please, Vegeta, bring him back alive. Bring Goku back to me." Vegeta stopped, a strange silence upon him. He didn't know what to say. He gently took Chi-Chi's hand and nodded. From afar, Bardock approached, his expression stern, but his eyes hiding an indescribable pain. He said, "So, you married my son. I'm glad he found someone who truly cares for him." Chi-Chi froze for a moment, her tears stopping as she stared at the unfamiliar man who looked so much like her husband, unable to understand anything. Meanwhile, Whis was standing beside him, smiling slightly, holding his staff. Vegeta raised his head toward the sky and spoke in a firm voice, filled with determination and pain. "It's time to leave this place. Time is running out." Whis extended his staff, and suddenly the three of them vanished, soaring swiftly into the heavens. On another planet, destruction reigned everywhere. Goku, the beast who had lost all traces of humanity, stood among the scorched corpses of the rulers of destruction. His breath was fire, and every movement he made ignited the space around him. But suddenly, the fabric of space tore open, revealing a gate of deep blue light spinning like a vortex that devoured existence itself. From it emerged the Grand Ruler, Daishin-Kan, his face expressionless, but the fury in his eyes was enough to extinguish the flames burning across the void. Daishin-Kan slowly raised his hand, his voice echoing across space. "My children, now show no mercy to this creature." In an instant, 10 angels moved in perfect harmony, a sight never seen before. Each one lifted their celestial staff, releasing interwoven streams of energy that formed massive chains of light, moving at the speed of lightning directly toward Goku. Each chain bore a seal of supreme power, crafted to restrain the strongest of beings. The first thread of light struck Goku's body, then the second, then the third. Within moments, his entire form was bound, the radiant chains coiling around his arms, his chest, his neck, and even his very soul. Goku roared like a lion, and the echo of his scream shook all universes. Yet his roar was not human. It was a fusion of rage, madness, and pure energy. His eyes blazed with silver fire, sparks flying from his body as he struggled to break the chains. The ground beneath him melted, but the chains did not shatter. From afar, Daishin-Kan stood motionless in midair, his eyes now completely white, without pupils. He raised both hands and began chanting strange words in an unknown language. With each word, the chains glowed brighter, and Goku screamed louder. The energy around him flickered between light and darkness, as if waging war within him. Some of the angels trembled. This was the first time they had ever witnessed a being resisting the spell of the Grand Ruler himself. One of them exclaimed in disbelief, His energy, it's resisting the annihilation spell to the Dark Fortress. That's impossible. But Daishinkan did not respond. He continued his chant, his voice growing louder and more commanding. The heavens exploded, as if the universe itself had decided to slap reality. Lightning descended like pillars of wrath from the skies, swallowing vast distances. Countless assistants were vaporized in an instant. From within that blinding light emerged Whis, the strongest of his brothers. It became clear that it was he who had unleashed that power through his staff, an energy shock meant to ease the weight of the battle. To Whis' right stood Vegeta. His rage turning pale with resolve, saying, "There's no room for fear now." And to his left, Bardock stared at his son in disbelief before the overwhelming shadow that Goku had become, wrapped in chains of pure energy. Whis raised his voice sharply, his tone firm and commanding. A quick plan dropped like a spark among them. "We outnumber us. I'll stabilize the time field with my staff. Vegeta, your task is to distract and break their formation. Bardock, you'll reach Goku's heart, calm him, and bring him back to himself. Then, with your mastery of instinct, you'll break the light chains from the outside. Whoever's bound cannot break them from within. Once it's done, we escape. Until then, we fight with everything we've got, no hesitation." Vegeta replied with a burning arrogance. "And what about the Grand Ruler? Do you think he'll just stand and watch?" Whis gave a faint smile that failed to hide his concern. "Don't worry, I know him well. He enjoys talking more than acting. He'll want to negotiate with me before killing. That is, if he still behaves as he used to. And besides, he's too busy containing Goku's power right now." Suddenly, Bardock snapped, unable to restrain himself. He leapt upward and struck Beerus with a crushing kick, slamming him into the ground before everyone's eyes. The shock froze every face. Beerus, humiliated twice in a single day, groaned on the ground as his aura of fear crumbled. Whis whispered in a low but commanding tone, "Bardock, stop now. This isn't the time for revenge." Bardock halted, his fists trembling, but his eyes gleamed as he looked at Goku, the gaze of both a father and a warrior. He rushed toward his chained son, trying to free him, but failed. Whis noticed this, and with his staff, released a localized burst of light that temporarily eased Goku's radiance for a brief moment.
Vegeta stood before the assistants, scattering them with breathtaking blows. Explosions of energy here, surges there, and with every passing second, the chances of survival or victory grew. Vegeta set the battlefield ablaze. Bardock whispered softly into his son's ear, hoping to reach his heart, while Whis watched with careful eyes, adjusting the staff's frequency. Goku was no longer human in that moment. His face dripped with energy, his body trembling as though trying to expel something far greater than himself. Bardock, his voice hoarse, extended his hand toward him, Goku, calm down. Don't move. I'll free you from these chains. Just trust me." But the moment Bardock released the energy seals, a terrifying sound erupted, like the scream of the universe itself. Goku pushed Bardock back with such force that he crashed into a massive rock. A strange laugh came from Goku's mouth, a laugh that wasn't his own. A laugh that made the air itself shiver. His hair suddenly rose, growing until it brushed his back. And he transformed into a being that struck terror into every heart. His eyes became like twin embers of pure light. A single roar from him was enough to make half the planet vanish into nothingness from the sheer force of the explosion. Vegeta froze in silence, unable to move. Whis raised a barrier of energy that barely held together, and high above, inside the great palace, Zeno was watching everything from his throne. His eyes widened in terror, and his small body began to tremble. Suddenly, the ground beneath him quaked violently as never before. A mysterious sound rose from the depths of the palace, from directly underneath the earth. The floor of the grand hall cracked open, and a black light began to seep upward from below. There was a buried palace deep underground, and in its heart, a massive stone statue sat on a colossal throne, shifting slightly from the immense power it felt from Goku. That was the reason for the earthquake within the palace. Back on the battlefield, the sky was torn apart as if dying, and the winds howled with the wail of the dead. Goku raised his hand and unleashed a terrifying burst of power. Everyone stood still. No one moved. No one breathed. Even the remaining rulers of destruction, who had long been accustomed to scenes of annihilation, were frozen in place by pure fear. Goku was no longer the Goku they knew. His new form resembled a being born from chaos itself. Light burned from his body. Whis, for the first time in his life, his face was devoid of calm. Vegeta stood there in disbelief, whispering to himself,
"Kakarot, what have you become?" Amid the ruins, Bardock struggled to rise, covered in dust and blood. He lifted his head toward his son and spoke with a broken voice. Why did you do this, my son? Don't you remember me? I am your father!" The words died in Bardock's throat as he saw what his son had become. But Goku did not move, did not reply. He was surrounded by dense light, and within that radiance, his eyes gleamed with an inhuman coldness. Then suddenly, a voice pierced the silence. Finally, let's end this chaos." Everyone turned toward the source of the voice. The Grand Ruler stood above them, his hands raised high, and on his arms, strange black symbols began to appear, symbols no one had ever seen before. Whis spoke in a trembling voice. "No, no, not that spell. It's forbidden, even among us." But it was too late. The Grand Ruler slowly extended his hand toward Goku, and in an instant, a thick black darkness poured from his palms, moving like a living, hungry creature. It darted faster than light itself and engulfed Goku completely before anyone could intervene. Vegeta's scream echoed through the heavens. "Kakarot!" But there was no answer.
The white light vanished, and the air grew so heavy that it suffocated everyone around. After Goku awakened the power of the pure, luminous Ultra Instinct, he turned the battlefield into a nightmare. He terrified everyone and annihilated everything in sight. Countless attendants and rulers of destruction fell before him. Out of 100 attendants, only a few remained. Most of the rulers had been slaughtered. Only Beerus and a few others survived, drenched in blood, gasping in terror. Everyone realized the horrifying truth. Goku had not been defeated. He had been banished from the battlefield by Daishin Khan's power into the dark fortress. Silence swallowed the void around Goku. No time, no direction, no sound. He stood motionless, breathing heavily, his head spinning as if he had just awakened from a terrible dream. He muttered weakly to himself, "The last thing I remember was training with Whis and Bardock, then that explosion, and after that, nothing." But when he looked down at his own body, he froze. His skin had changed. Strange glowing symbols moved slowly beneath it, like living streams of light. Each symbol pulsed like a heartbeat, emitting a faint hum that resembled the whispers of spirits. He raised his hand and saw the light react to his breath.
And it won't stop until this ends.
What is this? Is this my energy? No, this isn't Ultra Instinct. This is something else. Before he could think further, an immense pressure crashed down from above, a crushing weight that nearly destroyed him on the spot. His knees hit the ground, and the air grew impossibly heavy. He struggled to resist, but his body froze completely, as if something unseen was dragging his soul out of him. Then, voices. Not human voices, but overlapping whispers in incomprehensible tongues.
Relieve him not enough.
Stop! Get out of my head!
Crushed forever. Empty, nothing failed.
Goku screamed, trying to endure, but the voices grew louder until his mind felt like it would shatter.
Damn it! I won't stop! I have to keep moving. Not yet.
The world faded away, and he collapsed unconscious. The glowing symbols across his body flickered out one by one until he returned to his normal form.
Back on the battlefield, Bardock fell to his knees, tears mixing with the dust.
No, no! What have you done to my son, you cursed monster?
Whis stood silent, head bowed, powerless to intervene. The remaining rulers of destruction, Beerus, Belmod, and Moscow, seized the opportunity to strike. They surrounded Whis, preparing to end him for once and for all. But Vegeta, unable to bear the humiliation,
It's time to finish this! Feel the surge! My power won't be stopped. One strike, that's all it'll take! Ha!
roared with fury and charged into the fray, cutting through every attacker without mercy.
Take this! You still think you can stop me? Then come at me again! I'll knock every one of you down! Out of my way! He's breaking through their line! This ends now!
Above them, Daishinkan watched the chaos unfold. He slowly lowered his hand and said coldly, "It's over. This is how it was meant to be." The Grand Priest stood amidst the devastation, his face veiled in shadow, a cold smile curling on his lips. A blue ring of energy materialized above his head, spinning silently, radiating a light that echoed like trapped souls. Whis whispered in fear, "We have to escape, now." But before he could move, Daishinkan unleashed a blinding flash from the ring. In a single moment, everything stopped.
Whis, Vegeta, and Bardock froze where they stood. As if time itself had ceased within their bodies. Whis tried to resist, but his eyes turned to stone. Vegeta attempted to lift his arm, but his body shattered before he could move an inch. Behind them, Bardock stood paralyzed, his face frozen in pain and disbelief. His eyes still locked on the spot where Goku had vanished. The Grand Priest began to laugh. A low, merciless sound that grew into a chilling, echoing cackle. It's over. No one breaks the laws, not even you, Whis. But before he could finish speaking, a deep tremor rippled through the air. Then came a voice, a soft, childlike voice, yet laden with indescribable terror.
No! This can't be happening! It's coming undone! We have to escape! Now! Before it's too late!
The Grand Priest froze. For the first time, his face went pale, every trace of emotion drained. He turned slowly, and there, behind him, stood Zeno. But this was not the Zeno they once knew. His robes were soaked in darkness, his eyes wide open, devoid of their usual innocence. His voice trembled, tired, broken, like something within him had shattered forever. He spoke softly, and yet his words made the entire cosmos tremble.
It's over, Daishinkan.
Silence followed. Even the winds ceased to move. Even light itself dimmed in fear. Daishinkan, the proud, untouchable ruler, could not reply. Zeno's gaze pierced through him like frozen blades. Everyone understood then something greater than war had begun. Moments later, Goku's eyes opened slowly. He was inside the dark fortress. The walls pulsed faintly, as though alive. The air was heavy, and the darkness around him was not mere absence of light. It was aware, watching him. He leaned against the wall, gasping, then stood shakily. How did I get inside? Before him stood three figures, silent, cloaked in long black robes that hid their faces. Their auras were inverted, energies that could not be defined as good or evil, but something between. One held a massive open book.
Let the words awaken.
The gate is open. He walks among us now.
On its single page, an image of Goku, glowing blue.
Whisper deeper. The power listens.
Heed the vow. Sarth Onanakra.
Rise, champion. Speak through us.
The ritual is complete.
Another spoke in a distorted voice, as if many spoke through one.
It is him, the bearer of the golden sigils.
Goku narrowed his eyes. What do you mean? Who are you? No answer came. Only the weight of their presence deepened. The air itself turned solid around him. Anger surged within Goku. His energy flared. If you won't talk, then I'll make your body speak. He lunged forward, striking one of them hard, but the blow tore off the figure's hood. But what he saw made his heart freeze. The face was neither human nor anything he had ever seen. The being spoke in a deep, icy tone that cut through his soul.
Impatient for your own torment, son Goku?
At those words, the ground beneath him split open, and black chains of dormant energy erupted upward, wrapping tightly around his body, piercing through his flesh and into his spirit. They began draining something from him, not just energy, but memory. Goku screamed in agony, struggling to break free, but the chains only tightened. Then the three guardians spoke in unison, their voices echoing as if the entire fortress itself were speaking.
Phase 1, purification of the body. Phase 2, breaking of the will. Phase 3, torture.
In the battlefield, Zeno spoke with a pale face, his eyes trembling, his voice breaking apart.
It's beginning to awaken. Zardoc, the third founder of the Saiyans.
Silence. Even the air froze. Everyone exchanged terrified looks. The name that escaped Zeno's lips pierced their hearts like a cold blade. The Grand Priest trembled and stepped back, fear clear on his face for the first time. As for Bardock, he froze in place, his eyes wide, tears flowing unconsciously. Zardoc, my father, he's still alive? Whis, bound within the glowing blue ring, stared in disbelief. Your father? That being who once tried to erase Zeno's father from existence? How could something like that still live?
The energy around them began to quake as though something was awakening deep within the multiverse. The Grand Priest raised his head slowly and said in a hoarse voice, "We must leave this world immediately. No one can face Zardoc once he awakens." Zeno nodded silently, and with a single gesture, a temporal rift opened in the middle of the battlefield, swallowing light and sound into its depths. He whispered in a trembling tone filled with dread,
"We're going back before his eyes open completely."
Everyone vanished. In the heart of darkness, two colossal eyes began to open slowly within the abandoned palace, glowing with a pale white light like dawn before the end of time. The stone statue stood up, shards of rock falling from its body. The ground beneath it split apart, and the statue began to rise with terrifying slowness. Each movement of its body caused thousands of tons of petrified stone to crumble like dead skin. Its voice echoed like the roar of an ancient volcano.
How long has it been since I was frozen here?
The sky is cracked, and the universe is quaked as one. At that moment, Zeno's entire planet exploded, not from physical power, but from a spiritual detonation, as if existence itself could no longer endure the presence of the being that had awakened. A dreadful silence followed the explosion. Then Zardoc began sensing the energy still breathing across the universes, until he suddenly stopped.
That aura, Saiyan blood, still flows in someone.
Two distinct energies pulsed in his perception. One distant, distorted, hidden within cosmic mist, Frieza's, and the other closer, smaller, yet carrying an ancient trace that mirrored his own. He turned toward it, crossing universes with a single step. Every movement made the stars around him fade into ash. In a blink, he stood silently in the calm void above a small blue planet. He murmured,
Universe 7. This planet, Earth, is strange.
He descended slowly, his feet touching the ground. The entire planet trembled. The clouds scattered, the oceans rose in terror at his presence. He closed his eyes to sense the true source of that energy. It came from a simple place, insignificant compared to his vastness, a small home on the edge of the mountains. He opened his eyes. The air itself froze.
This energy, weak but pure, it is of my blood.
The wind died, and the sky turned gray. Zardoc lifted his head toward the horizon, his voice a whisper like a coming storm. He began walking slowly toward that small house. Inside, Gohan was crying softly, feeling deep down that his father would never return. And then suddenly, he sensed it. Something not human was standing just outside his door.
Breathe. Please. Haven't eaten in days. I'm not giving up. Still here. Can't stop. Not yet. One more breath. One more step. Then I'll rise and finish this.
Gohan rushed out of the house, hastily throwing on his battle clothes without order. His heart pounded like war drums, every step echoing the fear pounding in his chest. In front of him, standing in the open field, was a massive being. Unlike anything he had ever seen, a mysterious aura surrounded it, yet no readable power level emanated from it. Gohan froze, his brow tense, and he said sharply, "Who are you?" The creature didn't reply at first. Silence filled the air. Then finally, it spoke in a deep, grinding voice that sounded like moving stone.
Your clothes are strange. Are you truly Saiyan? What is your name?
Gohan answered with a mix of anger and pride. Son Gohan, son of Son Goku. The creature's slow, terrifying smile appeared, not friendly at all. It looked at him with an ancient gaze, as if reading his bloodline through his veins, and said coldly,
Clearly, you are not the one who awakened me from my slumber. Your power is weak, very weak.
Then, with a hint of mockery, he added,
Anyway, tell me, who destroyed the Saiyan planet?
Gohan's expression hardened, fury rising in his chest. If you don't tell me why you came to my home... He couldn't finish. Zardak raised his hand calmly and pointed toward him. Even from afar, without touching him, Gohan felt a deep, piercing hum inside his skull, a headache born from bone itself. He froze. His fists clenched the air. He shouted, "Stop it! Stop!" Zardak halted, his tone colder than steel.
I am not here to play. I think I'll go to another Saiyan. I can sense his power hiding like a rat.
He began to walk away, his steps shaking the ground beneath him. Gohan stood up, his body trembling, his voice cracking. "Please, wait! I have one request. Train me, and I'll tell you who destroyed the planet." Zardak laughed, a cold laugh that sliced through the silence like a blade. Then he spoke, as though delivering an ancient verdict.
I could extract that information without helping you. But since you might be a descendant of my bloodline, I will grant you something far greater than training. Something that multiplies your strength beyond belief.
Gohan stammered, startled by the words. Descendant? Something greater? I don't understand. But then he remembered his purpose, his father. He forgot his fear and replied with a grim resolve. If it can bring my father back, I accept. Zardak smiles slowly, a deadly smile.
I will give you one drop of my blood. Just one. It will either let you control power beyond measure, or kill you instantly. Do you accept?
Gohan's heart thundered. There was no turning back. He said hoarsely but firmly, "No choice. I accept. I'll do anything to bring my father back." In the moment that followed, Zardoc gripped his hand with inhuman strength, his skin rough like stone. From his palm, blood began to flow, each drop vibrating with dreadful energy. The ground sizzled wherever the blood fell. Zardoc lifted his hand, the dark red drops glowing faintly, and said in a voice as cold as death,
"Drink it, and let your body decide whether you deserve to live."
Gohan approached, his heart trembling, throat dry, yet he swallowed the drop. The instant the blood touched his lips, everything inverted. It was as though light itself died in his eyes. A faint gasp escaped him, then turned into a scream that tore the sky apart. He fell to his knees, clutching his stomach as if a fire raged inside. His face twisted, his eyes rolled back, veins bulged as though bursting from within. Ah! His body convulsed violently, unbearable heat rising from within until a dark red steam enveloped him. His breathing turned ragged, his voice fading into the void. He collapsed completely, his mouth bleeding, trembling as he tried to endure, then suddenly spat out a thick stream of blood. He froze, eyes open wide, his last scream swallowed by the void.
Silence. No wind. No sound. Only Gohan's lifeless body lying on the ground, blood dripping from his pale lips. Zardoc approached slowly, his eyes void of mercy or surprise. He whispered, almost to fate itself,
"As expected, my blood spares no weakling."
Then he looked toward the horizon and murmured,
"It seems I'll have to hunt down the other Saiyan myself."
There was no sky, no earth, only an endless sea of blood stretching into eternity. Gohan's body floated on its surface, his face smeared, his senses fading. Then a faint whisper reached his ear, a voice from nowhere.
Come, I have something to show you.
He opened his eyes in terror and screamed, trembling uncontrollably. His breathing was ragged. Slowly, he lifted his head and saw his reflection in the blood. But it wasn't his face anymore. Strange symbols were carved into his skin, his body marked like a map of torment. He stumbled backward, but the blood clung to his legs, holding him in place as if alive. He shouted with a trembling voice, "Where am I? What is this place?" No answer, only whispers growing louder around him, as though spirits were speaking from beneath the surface. He raised his eyes and saw enormous skulls floating before him. He backed away, trembling. Then a deafening, inhuman scream shattered the silence. The blood itself boiled from the sound. At that moment, Gohan stood up despite his fear, clenched his fists, and whispered, "No, I can't die here. Father, I'm still fighting for you." He began to walk through the bloody sea.
What is this place? It's alive. The walls, they're breathing. I can feel something watching me. I need to stay sharp. Every step feels heavier. Whatever this is, it's trying to pull me in.
Each step made him sink deeper, each breath heavier, as if the air itself were burning. He saw skulls lined up on both sides, endless rows, their mouths open, smiling at him as if waiting for his fall. And at the end of the path, a tall black castle appeared, rivers of blood and volcanoes flowing around it. Gohan decided to move toward it. It was his only path. He approached until he stood before the castle's gates. Iron, engraved, and massive, he moved closer slowly, fear crawling through his veins like poison. But deep inside, that weak voice, the one carrying his father's name, his clear purpose, whispered for him to keep going, no matter the cost. There was only curiosity in his heart. The sound of the gate was like the scream of a soul tearing through a grave. As he neared the door, it opened slowly, terrifyingly, without him touching it. The creak echoing through the air, as if the world itself was in pain. His footsteps echoed in the dark corridor, but before he could even breathe, the door slammed shut behind him with a violent crash. Gohan turned quickly, tried to open it with all his strength, but it was useless. The metal was alive, pulsing, as if the castle itself was swallowing him whole. Then he turned forward and found a dark staircase. His anger grew, his resolve to save his father hardened, and he continued walking, the marks of determination carved on his face. Upon entering the castle, the first thing he saw was another massive gate, completely different from the previous one, shaped like a giant mouth with crooked white teeth, behind which a red moon glowed, dripping blood as if it smiled to devour him. He realized it was the source of all those seas of blood. Gohan froze where he stood, veins screaming with terror. The voices around him whispered for the first time, clearly and eerily.
Enter. This is where the true test begins.
Once he stepped inside, silence filled the place.
Gohan walked hesitantly through a dark cell, the dim light of a broken torch barely tracing his shadow on the stone walls. The massive mouth behind him had closed, and now he knew there was no way back. He had entered alone, searching for the source of the mysterious energy he felt here, not knowing that he had stepped into a gate from which no one returns. The air changed suddenly, heavier, as if something was watching him. Rows upon rows of giant statues, some holding swords, others spears, some staring directly at him with cold stone eyes. And at the far end of the hall sat a colossal statue on a throne of shadows, its face a blend of skull and horror.
They're too big. I shouldn't be here.
Gohan took a single step forward. On the wall before him, glowing words appeared, igniting as he touched them. He hesitated, looked around. No sound, no movement. But something inside him whispered,
These aren't words. This is the awakening.
Then, the unimaginable happened. The eye of the statue sitting on the throne opened. Eye, cold, red, staring directly at him. The air froze. Gohan's heart stopped for a second. Then came the sound of heavy footsteps. One of the statues on the left began to move. Then another and another, until the entire hall filled with the grinding of stone and the echo of merciless iron. Gohan stepped back, panting, trying to understand. When the first strike of a stone spear pierced the ground before him, shaking the entire hall, he began to run. Every step collided with the echo of death behind him. The statues moved slowly, but never stopped. To the untrained eye, they seemed sluggish, but they were always closing in. Gathering his will, Gohan began to fight with all his strength against those statues.
Stay down. Not happening. You want to punish me? Try harder!
But there was something strange. The giant statues rebuilt themselves every time they were destroyed. The battle was endless. He stumbled and fell, looked behind him. One of the statues raised a massive stone sword toward his head.
Damn it.
He screamed, leaped to the side at the last moment. The blade split the ground, shaking the place like an earthquake.
Can't stop now. Keep moving. Not over yet.
Blood flowed from his arm. One of his limbs had been torn. Gohan, lying on the floor, rose slowly. He refused to surrender. He didn't feel pain, only pure fear.
He shouted loudly, "You, the one sitting on the throne, if you can hear me, stop this. I know you're the ruler here." Suddenly, the statues froze, all of them motionless, as if obeying. They stepped back and solidified in their places again. Gohan raised his head slowly and saw the statue on the throne tilt its head toward him, as if it was smiling. Then he heard a strange echo inside his mind, not a human voice, but a broken, celestial whisper.
"Prove you are worthy of life."
The statues began to move again, but this time slower, as if watching his obedience. He spoke with a trembling voice. "I want to become stronger. My father is waiting for me. Can you make me stronger, or are you just a statue like them?" Darkness swallowed the hall. Silence lasted for what felt like a lifetime. When Gohan turned and opened his eyes again, his body was covered in blood, but he felt nothing. Before him, a red light window appeared, glowing in the dark. You have been chosen as the first to obtain the instinct of kings. Prove you are worthy, or this curse will kill you.
All the statues froze in their places. Gohan raised his head slowly and saw his trembling hand. Something inside his heart began to change. Then came the roar, a monstrous scream behind him.
I am awakened.
A giant creature grabbed him in its hand and ripped his heart out mercilessly. But the real horror came when it replaced his heart with a black stone crystal. And once it was done, it threw him to the ground. The moon was no longer the same. It had turned into a massive crimson sphere, its bloody light flooding the entire earth. The sky split open, the air choked, cities trembled under immense pressure, and the oceans began to boil as if burning with rage. Krillin, Trunks, Goten, and Piccolo all turned toward the east. That light was coming from there, from Gohan's house. Goten screamed, tears streaming down his face.
That light, it's coming from home. My brother, Gohan. Please don't die. Please be okay.
Trunks grabbed his arm, his face pale with terror, and said with a trembling voice,
"We have to check it out, Goten. My father and yours aren't here, and this energy isn't normal. It's tearing the earth apart. We have to fight like men now."
Elsewhere, Krillin clenched his fist and shouted, "Damn it! What is this disaster? I've never seen the planet like this before." Piccolo, his eyes narrowing in disbelief, muttered, "Impossible. This energy. I know this feeling well. It's coming from someone I recognize."
Meanwhile, in space, the nearby planets shook. Even the other realms could feel it.
Get out of the way! It's coming for us! We have to run faster!
What happened to the moon? Why did it turn red?
Help us! Don't look back! Just run!
As for Zardoc, he was exploring Earth and had reached distant mountains. His eyes gleamed with an ancient spark, a mix of madness and majesty. He lifted his head toward the light and smiled slowly, a smile that carried both pride and dread, then spoke in a voice deep as thunder.
At last, my heir has awakened, the new successor of the Saiyan bloodline.
Then he burst into laughter, a booming laugh that tore through the skies, shredding the clouds around him.
I think I'm eager to test his power. How long has it been since my last battle?
And at the heart of that light, Gohan rose from the ashes. His body shone with a royal white radiance. His hair was no longer black. It was pure white, dripping with majestic light, and his eyes glowed with a brilliance like the clear sky. The air around him was completely still. No sound, but a single heartbeat, shaking the earth with every breath he took. He took one step forward, and the ground beneath him shattered unknowingly. Nature itself froze in awe. Gohan, Royal Ultra Instinct. The transformation never recorded in any era, a form attainable only by one who carries both Zardoc's blood and the trial of the modification gate. Gohan stood tall, his head lifted toward the red moon, and spoke in a low voice that echoed through the entire universe. What is this energy? Am I truly alive, or was it all just a nightmare? He slowly raised his hand, gathering a tremendous luminous power in his palm to test his new strength. A radiant light formed. He released it forward instantly. It shot outward beyond Earth, moving endlessly, as though it would never stop. Gohan then spoke, determination burning across his face. So, this is real. I can feel it. His smile faded, and he added, "But that place, it left only fear in my heart, and I can feel that it planted a dark power inside me."
When Trunks and Goten arrived, they encountered Krillin and Piccolo. They found that Team Shinhan, Yamcha, and Chaozu had already reached the source of the light, their faces frozen in shock. The ground was still shaking beneath their feet, and the sky was covered with a thick crimson glow that made everything look like a burning hell. The place where Gohan's house once stood no longer existed. No trace of the walls, nor of the trees that surrounded the home. Only a deep crater pulsing with waves of energy, like the heartbeat of a dying planet. Goten staggered forward, eyes drowned in tears. "No, it can't be! This was my brother's home! Where is he?" He ran toward the center, but Krillin grabbed his arm tightly, shouting, "Stop, Goten! Don't get closer! That energy, it's terrifying! It'll kill you before you even reach it!" The wind howled violently around them, dust rose in spirals, and from the heart of the destruction, Gohan appeared. But no one recognized him. His hair was pure white, dripping with royal light, His body gleamed as if made of pure energy, and his eyes blazed with an inhuman radiance. He stood silently, motionless. Beneath him, the cracked ground swirled in a vortex of dust and pebbles. Yamcha trembled and whispered in a hoarse voice, Is that really Gohan? Trunks, in disbelief, muttered,
No. This is something else. His power surpasses even my father's.
Chiatsu took a step back, whispering in fear.
I can't even breathe. It's like the air itself is running away from this place.
At that moment, Gohan raised his head toward the red moon, his eyes gleaming like a storm foretelling disaster. Is this real? Is that my little brother? And my friends? Why can't I say anything? Why are they staring at me like that? In the distant mountains, Zardanok vanished in an instant.
It's time.
Leaving behind a violent shockwave that split the earth open. In a blink, he appeared behind Gohan, without a sound. Not even the wind could follow his movement. He raised his hand calmly and spoke with a voice deep and filled with authority.
At last, my heir has awakened.
Everyone froze in place. Krillin muttered in a trembling voice, His heir? What does he mean by that? Wait, who is that giant? Before anyone could react, Zardanok disappeared again and reappeared in front of Gohan without making a sound, as if space itself bowed to his speed.
Show me, my heir. Do you truly deserve this bloodline?
Gohan turned sharply, his eyes shining with a celestial glow. He said with a confident smirk, So it's you. He unleashed a wave of white energy. It exploded in the sky like a meteor, tearing through the clouds. Trunks screamed, covering his face from the blinding light.
Impossible. I couldn't even see what happened.
Goten shouted in terror.
Brother, stop!
But Gohan didn't hear anyone. Zardanok appeared before him again and struck with a punch so powerful that the ground cracked for hundreds of meters. Dust and stones flew everywhere. Everyone stood in shock. Gohan had blocked the punch with his forehead, smiling with a mischievous grin. But then something strange froze their hearts. The destruction behind Gohan was catastrophic.
Piccolo gasped. No! No, this can't be! What's happening? His reaction was exaggerated, but he was the only one who noticed. Zardock hadn't even touched Gohan's face. Look! Piccolo shouted. The punch never reached him, and yet this happened. Zardock said arrogantly,
Impressive. You didn't move an inch from the force of my strike. I haven't seen anyone block it in ages. Ha ha ha.
Gohan replied without a trace of fear. Then next time, don't stop your punch. Or is that all you've got?
That spark inside you. It was never meant to exist. No doubt the Blood King took quite a liking to you.
What did you see inside me?
He planted a crimson core inside you. And that has never happened before.
When Zardock lowered his hand, blood began dripping from Goten's forehead. Yet the proud grin never left his face.
You tried. Now it's my turn.
Then Gohan countered with a stunning blow that made Zardock step back for the first time.
The sight was majestic, white light clashing against crimson energy, every collision of their fists creating whirlwinds that shook the heavens. Yamcha and Tien Shinhan screamed in disbelief. By the ruler, I've never seen a battle like this in my life. Every punch is creating an earthquake. Time itself seemed to freeze when their fists met.
Feel that? That's power you can't touch.
The air stopped, dust hung suspended in the sky, and the oceans rippled violently under the pressure of their power. Zardoc stepped back with a faint, proud smile.
Incredible! You've surpassed the limits of Ultra Instinct. I believe you're the strongest Saiyan alive now, but not stronger than me. Ha 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 ha!
He lifted his eyes toward the red moon and said in a deep tone,
Now I understand why the gate chose you. There's something different about you, boy.
Gohan was panting, his breath burning with exhaustion, yet he remained standing, his gaze firm, unwavering.
Is the test over?
Zardoc smirked faintly and replied,
Well, I have bad news and good news. While you were inside the gate of modification, I searched for your father's energy using the drops of your blood that remained on my hand. I looked across all realms, through every galaxy, and I couldn't find him. But the good news, I found half a shattered planet near Earth. I sensed traces of many powers there, as if a war had taken place just hours ago. On its surface, I found sigils, markings of one of the cruelest forms of torment. They point to only one possibility. Someone was sent to the Dark Fortress, and the strongest likelihood is that it was your father. He is also the one who awakened me from my slumber. But that place is deadly to any being who hasn't been there before.
Hope lit up Gohan's face. His eyes blazed anew after long despair. He spoke with fierce determination and joy. If there's even a single chance to reach my father, I'll take it. Fine, let's go there. Zardoc smiled faintly.
Remember, this is your choice. Bear the responsibility, heir of the royal bloodline. Ha 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 ha.
Gohan said firmly, I'm ready. But let me see my friends first. They're terrified. Zardoc nodded silently, and Gohan's body vanished into a soft light. Reappearing before his friends. They were all there, their faces filled with shock and fear, staring at this unfamiliar being before them. A massive crater behind him pulsed with royal energy. Goten was the first to move. He ran forward, shouting,
Brother!
Krillin yelled, Stop, Goten! That's not! Before he could finish, Gohan had already embraced Goten tightly. Tears streamed down Goten's face.
It's okay, little one. I've got you.
I can't
Tears
stop
mean your heart
crying.
is strong. Let them out.
Brother! I knew it was you. I knew it. I thought you were dead. I couldn't find the house or anyone.
Gohan placed his hand gently on his brother's head and smiled warmly. I'm okay, Goten. I've been through a lot, but I won't leave before saying goodbye. Piccolo approached slowly, still unable to believe what he was seeing. Gohan, is that really you? Gohan answered with deep gratitude in his eyes and voice. Yes, Master Piccolo. Without you, I wouldn't be standing here today. Thank you for always being my second father. Piccolo was silent for a moment, his eyes glistening, before he turned away, whispering softly, Protect yourself, kid. This battle is beyond all of us. Your father and Vegeta have both fallen. I just hope you survive. Trunks stepped in, his face full of concern. Gohan, my father disappeared too. Do you think he's still alive? Gohan smiled confidently and replied, Yes. I'll bring my father back, and Vegeta too. I won't leave anyone behind. Krillin exhaled, half in relief and half in awe. I don't know what you've become, Gohan, but your appearance alone has terrified the whole world. Gohan turned toward them, his eyes glowing with royal blue light, and said in a powerful, resolute voice, I'm going now. I'll find them, bring them back, and end this curse once and for all. Don't worry about me. He then looked down, where Zardoc awaited him, high above the ground. Zardoc lifted his hands, and dark symbols formed in the air, swirling like a mysterious vortex. His voice echoed mightily.
Prepare yourself. The journey to the Dark Fortress is no place for the weak.
The ground trembled, and the air thickened into a black mist, swallowing everything. Goten screamed, Brother, don't go! But Gohan looked back with a calm smile and said, I'll return, I promise. And in a single instant, his body was engulfed by the black smoke. He and Zardoc vanished within a vortex of light and shadow, leaving their friends standing in heavy silence, their hearts torn between hope and fear.
Reappearing in an instant before the Dark Fortress, a colossal palace with the air around it screaming under an unnatural pressure. As soon as they arrived, Gohan collapsed straight onto his knees, his hand clutching his chest as blood began dripping from his nose and mouth. He shouted in confusion, What is this place? I feel like my body is being torn apart. Zardoc spoke in a cold, heavy voice.
I told you, this place follows no law, no power level. This is a world outside all logic. I warned you that your body might not withstand the blood pressure of this dimension.
Zardoc stood before the palace door and said,
I am going in now. I'll return quickly, but do not let your eyes close. If you lose consciousness, the fortress will pull you inside, and then it will be impossible for me to extract your father and you as well.
Gohan tried to resist, but his body trembled violently as the pressure increased. He heard Zardoc's footsteps fading as he headed toward the palace. Then, all sound disappeared. As Zardoc advanced into the castle, fear and tension were etched on his face. Even he, the founder of the Saiyans, with all his power, meant nothing in this place.
I'm ready.
Whatever waits in there, it ends tonight.
He reached the front of the fortress, opened the door, and entered the worst nightmare imaginable. Seconds passed. Then a few minutes. Suddenly, the door creaked open again with the groan of ancient iron.
Zardoc emerged carrying a thin, withered, deformed body over his shoulder. The ribs were visible, the skin stuck to the bones as if it hadn't eaten in months or years. Its entire form carried the marks of torture.
He's gone, but I can't stop yet. Every step feels heavier, every breath burns. Hold on, brother. I'll get you home.
Gohan opened his eyes with difficulty, and a weak voice escaped him. Dad, is that you? What did they do to you? Your hand, where did it go? Zardoc stood beside him and dropped Goku's body with no hint of mercy on his face.
I made a deal with the Fortress Guardians. They took my hand in exchange for giving me Goku. Fighting them is pointless. They are not creatures. They are the laws of this place. Everything happened because he awakened me from my slumber. I hope I won't regret this.
Zardoc lifted his severed arm. Then flames began gathering in the air, merging and reshaping, until a fully formed hand appeared. He said quietly,
This is a hand forged from blood volcanic energy, but it is not as strong as the original.
Gohan tried to stand, but lost his balance. His eyes began to close, darkness swallowing his vision. Dad? Then he collapsed unconscious. Zardoc looked at them both, exhaled deeply, and said before vanishing,
You endured enough, boy. We are not staying here another second. This place devours the living.
And in an instant, they disappeared from the dark fortress by Zardoc's power, returning to Earth.
Elsewhere, in a realm unlike any other, with a sky cracked like golden glass and a ground without shadows, Zeno stood in terrifying calm before the Daishinkan, surrounded by a group of angels and only 3 surviving rulers of destruction: Beerus, Belmod, and the mouse Quitella. The atmosphere was suffocating, as if even the air feared to move. Behind them, the 3 prisoners were bound by the Daishinkan's power inside a magical cube that suppressed strength. Everyone exchanged confused glances, except one. The Daishinkan stood behind Zeno with a faint smile on his face, the smile of someone who already knew exactly why they had come to this unknown realm, but waited to hear the words from Zeno himself. Zeno stepped forward, his voice low, yet slicing through the air like a blade.
Do you know why we are here?
No one answered. Even the angels dimmed their light slightly.
Do you understand what's happening? Not a clue.
What Zeno-sama means?
Zeno raised his head, and thunder seemed to speak through him as he said, "We have come to awaken my father from his slumber."
You heard it too, didn't you?
Beerus's breathing quickened, and one of the angels trembled. Zeno continued, his glowing eyes reflecting genuine fear for the first time, because he is the only one capable of stopping Zardoc. Only then did the Daishinkan's smile vanish, replaced by a long, heavy silence, as if even his heart had stopped for a moment. Something stronger and far more terrifying was about to awaken.
After Goku was saved, do you think he'll recover and surpass Gohan's power? Or has Gohan reached a level where no one can stop him anymore? And also, with the first appearance of the father of Zeno, the battle of ice and blood has begun. Who do you think will win this terrifying showdown? Whoever answers correctly will have their comment pinned. And don't forget to subscribe. I promise, our subscribe button doesn't bite. In fact, it gives you +10 legendary power.